There are many organizations that are looking to do some very serious harm to this guy, Stephan Stearns.
A confirmed Florida State Prison inmate has just sent out a video threat/warning to Stephan Stearns, telling him exactly what the majority of prison inmates and gang organizations have in store for him once he arrives to the prison, just ahead of his trial starting this week. And trust me, if you're Stephan, what you're going to hear is a literal nightmare scenario awaiting you. I'll show you the full video message with subtitles and then break it down for you further after that. Let's get started.
There are many organizations that are looking to do some very serious harm to this guy, Stephan Stearns. As this new evidence keeps coming out, more condemning, more damning, it's just looking worse and worse for the guy. Several organizations are looking to do something physical to him. I don't know exactly what the prices are, but something's going to happen to this guy. There's a lot of people with a lot of money on this guy. I'd be surprised if he ever makes it to GP just because of this.
Now, even though that's only a 30-second clip, there's a lot to unpack here. First, I will start off by verifying and validating this inmate, this Florida prison inmate. I do know him, not personally, but have worked with him many times in the past. Valuable, invaluable insight into other Florida inmates, such as Wade Wilson and also the Parkland shooter. Okay, things that you would have never known or would have never got put out there. You really got to hear it from the inmates who are on the inside and often don't have an opportunity to get this information out there. Even if they could, nobody would listen. They're on a contraband cell phone. They don't really know who to talk to. The inmates who are in there with these people have the most info about what is either happening currently with these people or what the buzz around town as far as the other inmates is when expecting these people, like we're expecting Stephan Stearns, once they arrive to that prison system in Florida. Obviously, he's on a contraband cell phone. He has to cover his face. If you don't cover your face and you send something to Jumpsuit Pablo and I put it out there and you give me permission, hundreds of thousands of people are probably going to see it. And that's not good for you. So obviously he's got to cover his face a good bit. But amongst all the echoes that is going to come from being in a loud, obnoxious cell block in prison with hundreds of other inmates, this is the message that we were able to make out that he had to give about what the general consensus and what's going around the cell blocks and the prisons and the yards when it comes to Stephan Stearns. Okay. So first off, of course, he says there are many people, individuals, and also many organizations, gangs. Some like to call themselves organizations, but they're all pretty much gangs. Okay. A lot of them, whether they're a lone man or a group, want to get their hands on Stephan Stearns. Some of that comes with the notoriety and the publicity and the infamy that his case has gotten and how widely covered it is. Some people just want to make an example and make a name. I'm sure it doesn't help, and a large, if not larger, other part of this is the fact of what he's being charged with and what he is almost certainly going to be going to their prison yards for the heinous, horrible, disturbing, disgusting things he's done to a child. And I preach in every single video I do about this or another case or this person's going to prison. What do the inmates think? How's that going to be? I preach. As someone, if you're new here, I always have to explain this. I've done 10 years in prison. I know how it goes. If inmates watch anything, they watch the news because they have this need, this desire to know what is happening outside of these bars, these cement walls. I need to know what's happening in the world. They love the news. We need to know what's going on out there. They religiously watch the news. It is a big deal. And you better believe they are watching everything about Stephan Stearns. And we have this confirmed here because if you notice, he even says all these new developments and new evidence, new details, new information that has recently come out about Stephan Stearns just before his first of 2 trials, which this first trial is more for the CSAM, I believe, the basically material involving a child that nobody should ever have or participate in, if you catch my drift. Okay. They know about it. They've heard the new details. All these inmates have, not all of them, but most inmates, there's enough to where everyone is informed. If you don't have one, somebody who does have a cell phone has told you what they've saw and what they've watched about this case on their cell phone. That is how it goes. For example, I got out of prison in 2022. From 2020 to 2022, I'll tell you now, every inmate in the building was glued to their TV all day, every day, and fully kept up with everything and on their cell phones that was going on with the George Floyd situation. And that created a lot of tension. That's a whole other subject, but that's just an example to show you inmates we keep up with this stuff. We keep up with this stuff. We want to know what is happening in the world because we crave that knowledge because we are missing it. It is something inherent to an inmate. Okay. That's the only way I can really explain it to you. It is so important to them to keep up with that. They're keeping up with it. They even know about the new updates. There's all this new stuff that's come out about Stephan Stearns. If you clicked on this video, I assume that you probably know what those are because you're probably following that case. If you aren't, let me tell you, long story short, everything new that's come out, it ain't good. He's nasty. He's disgusting. He's a pervert. And I believe there's over 3,500 pieces of photographic or video material that are going to be entered into evidence during this trial coming up this week, tomorrow, involving what do you think they are? I mean, they're exactly what you think they are, maybe worse from what I've read and what I've seen and what I've heard. Same goes for them. They're disgusted. They're pissed off. They don't like that. They don't like that. They know about it. There are hits on him. And he'll even tell you himself, hey, listen, sorry, I'm not the almighty one. I don't know the exact dollar amount. I don't, but there's some people with some money. They got that money. They got some big time money on Stephan Stearns' head. Big time money. Let me tell you something. In prison, ethics, morals, prison justice. Yeah, we must do this. All the murderers, burglars, and purse snatchers and car thieves, we must band together to stomp out the pedos. Yeah. I get the hypocrisy. I get it. But hey, that don't change the way it works, and that don't change the way things are in prison, and that is how they view it. They will come together to get that man. They feel extra special about that type of crime. There is big money on this man's head, and he ain't even been to trial yet. Big money. So big that this guy doesn't even know the exact dollar amount because it's probably several amounts all being pulled together from several organizations or individuals who have money. This is serious. People want him. And then that brings me to another interesting thing he said. I wouldn't be surprised if he never makes it to GP, and if you don't know, that means general population. Because of this, I would expect him to not go immediately to general population just based off my experience. Keep in mind, I haven't been locked up in Florida. I did my 10 years in South Carolina. It is very hard to speculate about another state prison system when you ain't been there. Every state prison system is different. There are some generalities and some things that kind of apply no matter where you go, but then there's some intricacies and some nuances that are different place to place. And that is why I like to talk to people who are there. That is why that is my thing with this channel. Okay. Personally, I would agree he would never go to general population immediately. And I think the routine thing here is to stick him maybe 6 months to a year in a isolated place, a protected place. But then ultimately, eventually, once that hype dies down and people quit talking about him and people aren't all fired up about him, you do, because there's limited spacing in these protected places. That's why. Eventually, they need those spaces for more immediate Inmates who are in a more immediate danger for various reasons, usually gang reasons. They dropped out, they snitched, they didn't follow orders. People are out to get them, want to kill them for those. That's the most common thing. And that stuff happens really quick, and it's a big circle, and it happens, and they need that space. So, buddy, you've been here a year. Nobody's even talking about you. Nobody even remembers you. You got to get the hell out. Okay, you're going to General Pop. I could see Stephan going to General Pop on those terms and within that time frame. But again, that's just me. Now, he's there. He's been there a while, and he's going to be there a while more. I'm sure he knows more than me about how Florida state prison systems work. And if he feels like he'll never see GP, that really speaks to me about the threat level, the intensity that people want to get to him, which is downright scary, because at the end of the day, it don't take nothing but a corrupt CO, which, trust me, there are plenty. Get on Google. Corrections officer arrested. Corrections guard caught. Corrections officer broke rules. Corrections officer booked. Corrections officer sent to prison. Google it. Hundreds and hundreds of stories. They will break rules. It don't take but one corrections officer who has a daughter that age, or who has a child, or themselves as a child had something done to them. For whatever reason, this really resonates with them, and they want to facilitate action being taken against him. Let me tell you something. Doors get left unlocked on accident. Things happen. Doors get opened. Opportunities present themselves. It happens in prison. Especially when you're talking big money. You could have a guy, he don't give a crap. I'm a guard. I don't give a crap. I don't have kids. I don't have a daughter. Nothing ever happened to me. I don't even really necessarily care about this crap. I'm a guard, and I might secretly be a pervert. And I don't even hate Stephan for what he did. Worst case scenario. But you talking enough money? Something done happened to him. Somebody got him. Something happened. And it could be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years down the line. Something happened. When that money comes into play, especially in prison, everything changes. Anything's on the table. Anything could happen. So, it is very possible he may never see GP, but that does not mean he won't ever see some harm come his way for what he did. And you know what? What it's going to be, let it be. Let nature take its course. Let the sickos get weeded out. That's how I feel. I don't know about you. That's just my opinion. But there you have it. There's the update. There's my breakdown and my assessment. Hope you enjoyed the video, and you better gear up for a wild trial and some wild things I believe and foresee coming after this trial, when I know, fingers crossed, he's found guilty, sent to prison. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.